victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents didn't. It's embarrassing that you utilize their history. You're not living through anything right now. You're overly privileged Americans.
Wow, conservative activist Candace Owens calling out Black Lives Matter protesters who look to disarm her. They caught the attention of rap megastar Kanye West, who said he loves the way Candace thinks, and since his tweet, both he and Owens have received major blowback. Here with more on how she's responding to those attacks is communications director for Turning Point herself, Candace Owens. Candace, first off, when did you actually respond to that heckler? When was it posted, and when did Kanye West get involved?
So this was just last Friday, so all of this has transpired pretty quickly, and then his tweet went out, I believe, on Saturday, and it's been an absolute firestorm since.
And when Kanye West said, "I like the way you think," when you looked at it, did you think, oh, that can't possibly be him?
Somebody actually sent it to me in a text, and I thought they were pranking me because I've spoken about Kanye West so much early on in my career here. I've said that he's the only person that is in hip-hop or that has a public stage that is willing to think independently. So I was just surprised.
What do you think about your message that he saw, Kanye West saw, that appeals to him, that he goes, yeah, I'm with her on that?
I do not subscribe to groupthink. I think independently. I'm a free thinker, and I don't believe that because I have a certain skin tone that I absolutely have to subscribe to all of these ideas, which on paper do not make any sense whatsoever.
Once I read what Kanye tweeted, I thought, I wonder, since he's getting backlash, if he regrets that. But then Ebro Darden from Hot 97, the hip-hop DJ, famous DJ, he talked to Kanye, and this is what he said Kanye said. He doubled down basically on Trump. Listen.
He said, I do love Donald Trump. Kanye West, quote, I love Donald Trump.
That's what I was going to ask you. People are saying that he's been saying he loves Donald Trump.
Yes.
And he said it.
I love Donald Trump.
Candace, why is that so shocking?
It's not shocking whatsoever to me. If you've been following Kanye West's career, Kanye West has always been an outlier in terms of having his own mind and thinking his own thoughts. They told Kanye that he couldn't be in fashion, so he created an entire brand. They told Kanye that he couldn't like Kim, so he married her. Okay, so this is no surprise whatsoever. This is who Kanye West is fundamentally, a free thinker.
You know, he's the same guy who said George Bush doesn't like black people at a telethon for victims of Katrina.
Yes, absolutely. And I hear people saying that all the time, as if people are not allowed to evolve and have their ideas evolve over time. And I hate that. That's exactly the idea that the left has, is that once you say something, you must always stick to it.
I never
you
took
can't
it back.
form your opinions over time. Right. And I understand that, but that's something that I was 2 years ago a liberal. So is that how we work now on the right? That we say that if you have a certain idea, you can never evolve away from it with time? So I think that's a ridiculous offense that they keep launching towards him.
Sure. Candace, excellent question. What have you learned about speaking out at UCLA, the firestorm that ensued, and Kanye backing you?
I've learned that the left would like their slaves back. They've created a system where black people are ideological slaves, and we tested this theory very quickly. He simply said 7 words, I like the way Candace Owens thinks, and this became a front news story across every single platform that you could possibly dream of, and that is only because he is not allowed to think differently as a black man.
All right. Candace, we thank you very much for coming on live and telling us your story.
Candace, stay strong. I know this has been a difficult week for you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you guys so much.
You bet.
All right, coming up straight ahead over the next 2 hours, it's going to be easy to interview Senator Cory Gardner, talk about foreign relations, and Mike Pompeo. Ian Bremmer's going to be here live, a deep thinking book. Dr. Oz saves people from burning buses. Anthony Scaramucci would have if he had been there.
The next guest has sparked a national debate on the conventional wisdom about African Americans in politics. Well, Candace Owens has urged black voters to think independently for themselves and to question liberal orthodoxy. She has been mercilessly attacked online, but coming to her defense, very interestingly, has been hip-hop star Kanye West. Well, he tweeted on Saturday, I love the way Candace Owens thinks. Is he punking all of us? What's going on with that? As we shared with you last night, a hip-hop radio host also claims that West told him that he loves President Trump and he likes Owens because she's challenging conventional black thought. Joining me now to respond to the controversy is Candace Owens herself. Hey, Candace, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, you just go to a college campus and you start talking about think for yourself and be your own person. And gosh, that's kind of a Me Too thing. Like, stand up for yourself. Don't be a victim. I was listening to you. I didn't see who it was, and I thought, oh, it's like a Me Too thing. And then I saw, oh, it's Candace Owens. I said, wait a second, why is this so controversial? Were you surprised that this became, such a big deal? Like, obviously Kanye weighs in, but were you surprised?
I actually wasn't surprised at all. This is what I've been talking about across college campuses with Turning Point USA, is that there is this liberal indoctrination, and they think that they have a monopoly, not just on our students, which is what we deal with at Turning Point USA, but also on the entire black race in America. They cannot fathom that we might have different ideas. They don't understand because they have significantly created a mental prison for all of us. And the second somebody runs off what I refer to as a Democratic plantation, they send the dogs out.
Well, there was an interesting moment on this radio show, this guy Ebro, who's a very interesting host, and he was talking about Kanye West, and he was saying, well, Kanye's not thinking independently because he lives himself in a bubble. Let's watch.
Kanye is talking about things that don't affect him.
They do not. Let's be honest. None of these things affect him. He lives in a bubble where it's like none of us could really understand. All he's surrounded by is the Kardashians and a bunch of yes men and the fashion world and this. He doesn't understand what's happening in the streets, what's happening when it comes to protests, none of that.
Oh, wait a second. As if there aren't multi-millionaire African Americans, Latinos, and others living in Bel Air, Brentwood, Malibu. I mean, because you don't live on the streets, then you can't comment on anything? What? That was odd, bringing in the Kardashians. What was going on with that comment?
It just wasn't a very smart comment is what it comes down to. It was a fallacious argument that could be attacked 1,000 different ways. I mean, to suggest that because somebody has money, they can't think or they don't have any knowledge or facts or data makes entirely no sense. In fact, you could argue that they may have more access to those things. So I thought that was just incredibly just low IQ is what it really comes down to. And at the end of the day, these radio hosts are not the great philosophers of our time. They do what they do. They get on there and they try to stir up the controversy. They talk about the story of the day, and they're incapable of thinking critically.
Well, I'm a radio host, and I talk about the subjects of the day as well, but I try to do it with some degree of knowledge and experience. Candace, where are you going next?
You know, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep punching back. I have zero fear when it comes to this because I knew exactly that this was going to be the blowback. I know that you recently had some experience with this. You understand mob mentality. And the result is it usually has adverse results. And that's exactly what we see with your show and why it's been so spectacular. And I'm hoping we're going to see the exact same thing in the black community. You create a conflict, and at the end of the day, it ends up waking up more people to an underlying problem, which is the fact that we don't have enough diversity of thought within the black community.
All right, thanks so much, Candace. And I'm sure you'd agree with many critics who say that liberals have encouraged blacks to embrace, at times, a cult of victimhood. An example today might be an editorial in today's LA Times headlined, "Black people were lulled into thinking Starbucks was as a safe space. We were wrong." The writer spoke of, quote, "the jarring reality that for black people, especially men, there is no such thing as that kind of neutral space. At least it's not guaranteed." Joining us now to discuss whether that's true are John James, Republican candidate for Senate in Michigan, and Wendy Acefo, a Democratic strategist and Johns Hopkins University professor. All right, Wendy, your reaction to what Candace is arguing about intellectual diversity and the need to just encourage diversity of thought.
It's okay to be intellectually diverse, and we should welcome that. However, let's not be dubious in our narrative, and that's what's going on. What is a fact, and what we all know, is this is not about black victimhood. This is about the fact that our criminal justice system is flawed when it comes to black and brown people. Black people only make up 13% of the American population, but they make up 30% of those individuals who are killed by cops, and 45% of black people have said that they've been unjustly harassed by police officers. This is not about Starbucks. This is not about the issue that happened at Waffle House. This is not about the women who belong to a country club, black women who were kicked off of the country club for playing golf too slowly. This is about our criminal justice system being inherently flawed. This is not an opinion. This is a fact.
John.
So as a black man in this country, I understand that one of the most challenging positions is not only to be a black man, but a conservative black man. And as Candace is saying, too many people have died for our right to be able to think for ourselves. And to not take on this great responsibility is a failure. I truly believe that if we were talking about Chick-fil-A here and not Starbucks, the most dangerous place in America to be would be between Chuck Schumer and a camera. As long as we're talking about statistics here, we talk about the minority of bad cops who are responsible for perpetrating these crimes against African-American males and anybody across the country. It's a very vast minority of folks when you consider the good cops out there doing great things for our country, keeping us right now, right here, safe every single day.
But when we talk about cops, let's be clear. My brother serves the NYPD. I know about cops. My grandfather is a retired police officer, so we don't have to educate me about cops. But what we do know is that cops disproportionately attack black and brown people. Again, that's not an opinion.
Okay.
That is a fact. And let's just use this
What's
one
the
example.
percentage? Yeah.
Well, let's use this one example. We know that the killer who killed 4 black and brown people in a Waffle House was, taken, and it was okay. He was fine. Dylan Roof killed people in a church, and he was treated to a Happy Meal from McDonald's before he went to prison. But why is it that when black and brown people, that is a fact. That is a fact. But why is it that why black and brown people, when they are selling Lucy's or when they are out in the streets, they're not apprehended in the way in which white people are? Those are the facts.
So
here.
Wendy, you messed you're getting off track. Our segment is devoted to whether African American, right? But yeah, well,
that's what he spoke about.
I celebrate all police. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
that's what
bad.
he
They're
spoke
bad
about.
people in my business. They're bad cops. We all get that.
I didn't bring up the NYPD.
We
I
all
brought
get
up
that.
the minority of cops who are perpetrating these.
Yeah. So I mean, I think
you're talking about the
and I think what happens is that we encourage hostility on both sides. We have incredible police officers doing really difficult jobs, as your family does, day after day after day. And I think we have to be careful with our language. We have to be careful with how we paint with a broad brush. Otherwise, kids of all backgrounds are going to feel like, I'm afraid. Like, I don't even want to report a crime. I don't even want to see a police officer. I don't even want to help from a police officer because they're not fair or they're inherently biased. But getting back to the point of Candace for a moment. She goes to a college campus and she talks about thinking for yourself. Just because you grow up black doesn't mean you automatically register D for Democrat. That's her point. And I've seen time and again that black conservatives or Latinos or even Asians, they're treated like they're second-class citizens within their own communities. And they're looked at like, what's wrong with you? You're an Uncle Tom. You're an Uncle Thomasina, I've heard. That also, I think, is toxic. Let people debate the issues. Let people have different points of view. Don't demonize them. They might disagree. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they're right. Maybe sometimes I'm wrong. You're right. That's fine. But I just feel like there's no monolith here. You know what I'm saying, Wendy?
I agree. I agree that there is not a monolith. And I don't believe that people challenge Candace when she said it's okay to think differently. Absolutely. We are not monolithic. Black people are not. We all do not think the same. However, where the challenge came in was when she talked about the flawed rhetoric that Black Lives Matter has no ground to stand on. When she said, you guys are talking about slavery, but none of you guys experienced that, so why are you even bringing that up? On your show here today, I am challenging Candace to a conversation, to a debate about what does she mean by that comment. Is she
I'm
saying,
sure she'd love to debate her.
I would love to debate her.
Yeah,
because I don't understand what she means by the comment that just because we did not experience slavery, that we have no right to say, oh, issues of slavery are still impacting the black community. That's inherently flawed.
That's fine. That's her point of view.
So
I mean,
there are those who would say
John.
that we're still experiencing slavery, but not slavery of the wrists and the ankles, but slavery of the mind, when we're continually being told that if you think a certain way, that I'm not black enough because I have different thoughts. And so I think what we're talking about here is mob mentality is a bigger threat to our democracy than any foreign country. And we need to make sure that we're broadening our minds.
All right, guys, fantastic conversation. And I have a question. Did the Obama administration step in to squash a probe of the Clinton Foundation? Well, there are new questions now being raised tonight, and we have these stunning details next. Stay there.